أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين. I was talking about the meaning of the name Allah. It's derived from ilah, which means mahbub. That is mahbub, or the word Allah is derived from the word ilah, which means ma'luf, and the meaning of ma'luf is either ma'bud. It has two meanings, you can say. It's a synonym with two meanings. Either ma'bud, the one who is worshipped, deserving, worthy of being worshipped, or mutahayyirun fi, someone about whom we are surprised. Or wondering. Tahayyur means surprise or wondering. Someone who's wondering and is surprised, he doesn't know. He hasn't reached the destination. This tahayyur is good about the zat and essence of Allah. If someone has tahayyur about the essence, this is appreciated in Islam.
Is it more like being perplexed?
What do you mean by that?
Being perplexed.
What's the meaning of that?
Like being puzzled.
Puzzled. Yeah, it's close to that meaning. It's close to that meaning. So we look at the support for this meaning from our holy texts, and here is the support from Ziyarat of Aminullah. Ziyarat of Aminullah, like Ziyarat al-Jami'ah, can be recited for any of the shrines of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, but specifically we recite for Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. Why? Because Imam Sajjad alayhi salam taught us, and he recited at the grave of Imam Ali alayhi salam. When Imam Sajjad alayhi salam came to Najaf, to the grave of Imam Ali alayhi salam, there was no city of Najaf in those days, but when he came to the grave of Imam Ali alayhi salam, he recited the ziyarat. So this is the reason, based on the sunnah of Imam Sajjad al-Islam, we also recite ziyarat of Aminullah at the grave of Imam Ali al-Islam. But it can be recited at the grave of any of the Masumeen. Such a beautiful ziyarat. Such a beautiful. I personally love it so much and enjoy it, reading it. So if you look at the words of the ziyarat, that's how it begins. Allahumma inna qulub al-mukhbitina ilayka wa'aleha. That's the beginning of the ziyarat. That's how it starts. Inna qulub al-mukhbitina ilayka wa'aleha. So muqbitin are those people who have khushu, they have the fear of Allah in their heart. So the hearts of those people who are fearful of Allah are wondering and surprised about you. Inna qulub, this is the first sentence of the ziyarat. Inna qulub al-mukhbitina ilayka waliha. That means they are mutahayyir about you. Tahayyur about the zat and essence of Allah is appreciated in Islam. Now tahayyur, my teacher said, can be of two types. Someone is puzzled, like you said, puzzled, his mind is wandering, he hasn't reached the destination. So it can be of two types. Tahayyur for the person who has not arrived at the destination. That is perfectly understandable. Obviously, like a person who is seeking water in a desert, he's wandering here and there, going to this direction, to that direction, somewhere he can find some oasis, some place where water has been gathered under some tree or some bush or some shade. So he's wandering from here to there, he's puzzled where to go, he doesn't know where to go. He's just going on various multiple directions to find water. His destination is to reach water. So this guy is in the state of tahayyur, surprised and wondering. So this tahayyur is annoying and also disturbing for the person, right? The more it prolongs, the more disturbing it gets for the guy. He is not getting water, he is not reaching his destination. The second kind of tahayyur, concept of being surprised and wondering and puzzled, is what my teacher said is about those, relates to those people who have reached, who already arrived the destination. How come they have tahayyur when they have already arrived the destination? Well, their tahayyur is like the person who has reached the fountain of water, and now he found there are so many fountains. So many fountains. So he is surprised and his mind is wondering which of those several fountains he is supposed to choose from. He is supposed to choose the water from which of those multiple fountains that he has found. Which of the fountains should he go for to quench his thirst? There are so many out there. This kind of tahayyur and wandering or puzzling of the mind is something which is not at all annoying or disturbing for the person, but it has a pleasure. Not only it's not annoying, but it's pleasing for the person if a person has reached on that state. And now you pay attention to the dua of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said in his dua, Rabbi zidni fika tahayyuran. That's the dua of the Prophet. Oh my Lord, increase me about you the surprise. Increase my surprise. In other words, increase my surprise about you. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that person who has already reached the destination. He has already reached Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has now access to, he is the madhar of all the names. So just like somebody who has found multiple multiple fountains, so now he is surprised from which of those names of Allah fountain of this name of Allah, and fountain of this name of Allah, and fountain of this name of Allah. Now which of those fountains of which name I should drink? So that kind of surprise and wondering or puzzling of the mind is the one which is of the highest level. So this is the first point that we are discussing, and that's the continuation of the point today. Now let's go to the next point. Should I erase it? This discussion is very important to understand the meaning of the word Allah, because we are talking about how the word Allah has been derived. And Allah is the word that stands for the Zat, which all the attributes are Ayn Zat. All the Sifatul Zat, Sifatun Subutiyya are basically, there, and those Sifat who are Ayn Zat means nothing but His essence. His essence and those Sifat, essence and those attributes are one and the same thing. So it's very important to understand these points. Now there is a distinction between the Zat and the Fi'l. Zat of Allah means essence. Fi'l of Allah means His action. So there are sifat and attributes which are related to the Zat and essence. We call them sifat al-Zat. And there are sifat and attributes which are related to the actions of Allah, and we call them sifat al-Fi'l. Attributes of actions. Attributes of the essence. So just like Zat is unlimited, essence of Allah is unlimited, attributes of the essence, attributes of the essence are also unlimited. That makes sense, because attributes of essence are nothing but the essence, Ayn al-Zat. So those attributes are also unlimited. For example, knowledge, the same knowledgeable, Al-Alim, the all knowledgeable. The same, the one who is the all knowledgeable is the one who is Allah, and the same Allah is the one who is Al-Alim. Because knowledge is not two different things. Unlike us, when we were born, we were blank slate ignorance. Later on, we end up learning the knowledge, right? So knowledge is an added attribute later on to our existence. Initial state was blank slate ignorance for us. And I explained in the previous lesson, humans, our knowledge is preceded with ignorance and proceeded with forgetfulness, nisyan. Before we were ignorant, so we didn't know, we had no knowledge, zero information. And later on a time arrives in the life where we end up forgetting what we learned. So our knowledge has a past of ignorance and the future of forgetfulness. Nothing of those two apply for Allah. His knowledge is nothing but His essence. The same Al-Alim is Allah, and the same Allah is Alim. Since there is Allah, He is Alim. Since He is Alim, He is Allah. It is nothing but His essence. Always there. Right? So I won't use it's part of His essence, because the word part is an insult of Allah. Allah has no parts. So we say nothing but His essence. So these are limitless. All the attributes of essence are limitless. So his knowledge is limitless because his essence is limitless. His wisdom is limitless. His qudrat, his power is limitless because it's nothing but his essence. For example, his hayat, life of Allah, is limitless, just like his essence is limitless. All the sifat and subutiyya, remember, we learned those sifat and subutiyya, the positive attributes which are there in Allah, and sifat and salbiyya, which are the negative attributes which are not there in Allah. And we studied that in the classes of Usul al-Din already, for those of you who were present. So coming back to the point, distinction between sifat al-zat and sifat al-fi'l, attributes of the essence and attributes of the actions. Attributes of actions are limited. They are not limitless. They are derived when Allah does some action. Since he performed the action, since then we start deriving and calling Allah with some specific name that is related to that action. For example, Al-Khaliq, the creator. The creator is a name which is related to the action of Allah. Action is creation. So he is called the creator since he created. Not before the time when he did not create anything. We are not using the word creator for the period, for the era when Allah did not create anything. We started to call him Al-Khaliq since when Allah started to create, because this is an attribute of action. So it's not limitless like the attributes of the essence, because it's not part of the essence. As simple as that. It's derived from the action. Action is done at some point. From that point onwards, that name will be applied for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is sifatul af'al, are all of them like this. Now, some of the sifat of af'al have opposites. Some of the sifat has opposites. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is attributed with both of the opposites, both of the two sides of the attributes. For example, we call Allah to be murid, the one who wills. He has irada. The one who has the irada, wish, is called murid in Arabic, al-murid, right? So he wills for certain things to happen, or to do certain things. So he has will. So this is one side. These are those attributes which have opposites. For example, for certain things he has karahat. So he is al-mukrih. But he has karahat. He dislikes certain things. He does not will for those things. He dislikes and detests those things. For certain things he wills. Allah wills the goodnesses, all the goodnesses to happen. Right? Khair, khairat. For the bad things, Allah is not willing to happen. It's against His will. Allah dislikes it. He is mukrih. He dislikes those things. So He has karahat. So, but Allah has those attributes. For certain things He has karahat and disliking. For certain things He likes and He wills to happen. So both of the sides of the attributes are attributed to Allah. Both of the opposites are attributed to Allah. Another example, sakhat and rida. Allah is ar-radi. Ar-radi means the one who is pleased. Allah is pleased with certain things. So He is ar-radi. And Allah is displeased with certain things. So we call, sakhit. Displeased or angry. He is displeased over certain things, and He is pleased for certain things. So these are the opposites, and both opposites are attributed to Allah, and both of them are related to certain actions. Right? For example, if I do ghibah, God forbid, Allah dislikes it. Somebody drinks alcohol, somebody performs zina, God forbid, somebody goes for gambling, Allah dislikes it. So somebody performs good deeds, Allah is radi and pleased about that. Another example is Ihya. Allah is Al-Muhyi, the one who gives life, life giver. The opposite of that is Al-Mumit, the death giver. Who makes us die? No one else other than Allah. Al-Mumit. These are both actions. Giving life is an action. So Allah is called Al-Muhyi since when He started giving life to other things. And Al-Mumit since when He started to make something die. Then He's called Mumit. And these are two opposites, and both are attributed to Allah, and both of them are sifatul fi'l. Another example is bast, al-basit. Bast means, giving away, expanding, stretching, giving away. So Allah is the one who gives away, expands, stretches, gives away. He gives so many things away. Al-basit. And the opposite is, al-qabid. The one who holds. Instead of giving away, he holds certain things. That's called qabd, to keep on holding, gripping, keep your grip on certain things and don't let go. This is called qabd. So Allah is qabid, He's the one who holds. So these are again opposites. For certain things He holds on, doesn't let go. For certain things He gives away. Both are the opposites and both are attributed to Allah. And we need to understand which of the things and to whom and why He holds and for whom, and which of the things He gives away for whom and why. To understand those things and to apply in our lives. Right? So these are the opposites, and so these are attributes of actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So even though these attributes have a beginning, but they don't have an end, right?
Sorry?
The attributes of fi'l, they have a beginning, but they don't have an end.
Why?
Once you make the action, like if you're a
For example, if you kill somebody and give death, so the death happens once, or
the
it
action
ends.
The action is once, but the ability to be relieved is always forever, right? In Khalid, you create, once you create, you're always Khalid.
Yeah, if from that aspect, if you want to say yes, if you
The
it
action
happens
is done,
once
the
and
attribute is
it doesn't return back to life again, so it is kind of continuing. From that aspect, the death, if you want to say like that, it continues. But from the aspect of happening, several things happen only once. For example, death is only once for the human being.
But when He gives that, the ability does not come in. It was there. It just like it just shows up. What is it? You call Him Al-Mumit.
No, he gives death because death is a creature of Allah. وَالَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ. He's the one who created death and life. So death is a created thing of Allah. And death will be killed on the Day of Judgment. So it's something that exists. Allah gives death and makes us taste the death. And because we taste the death at the time of death, because Allah is giving the death to us, we end up dying.
But
And
being
that
Mumit,
obviously is defined in Islam in a different way, which is taking away of our soul from the body. That's death and transferring of the soul.
Yeah, but the attribute is not about the action, right? It's about being able to cause death. So that is forever.
Being able to what you are talking about is this power of doing this goes back to, for example, Al-Qadir, Sifat attribute of Allah, Al-Qadir, the all-powerful. And Al-Qadir is nothing but his essence, Ain-Zat. That's true. He has the power always, all the time. Even before he created, he had the power to create. Why? Because Al-Khaliq, remember we studied in the previous or 2 lessons before, Al-Qadir falls under, Al-Khaliq falls under the bigger name, which is Al-Qadir. So that power is there for Allah in essence. Ain-Zat, nothing but his essence. Everything falls under the Sifat al-Zat. All the attributes indirectly or directly or indirectly fall under Sifat al-Zat, attributes of the essence. Because of that he is doing that. So that's why we believe everything falls under Allah. Allah stands for the Zat and essence of Allah, including all the attributes. So every name falls under Allah. Allah is the supreme and the biggest and greatest name. So, in the hadith of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, he taught his companion to say, Alhamdulillah muntaha ridahu. Say that all the praise belongs to Allah, as much as the limit of his rida and pleasure. So there are certain things with which Allah is pleased, and there are certain things with which Allah is displeased. For example, Quran says, and that is in Surah Al-Zumar, verse number 7, La wala yarda li'ibadihi al-kufr. Wala yarda li'ibadihi al-kufr. Surah Al-Zumar, verse number 7. So we learn from the verse that Allah does not agree, is not pleased for his servants, about the kufr. They become kafir, they do the kufr. He doesn't agree about kufr. So Jahannam is obviously the madhar and domain of the ghadab and wrath of Allah, and Jannat and paradise is the domain and madhar and reflection of the pleasure and rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For certain things he is pleased, for certain other things he is displeased. So pleasure and displeasure are both attributes of fi'l, sifatul fi'l, attributes of action of Allah. Because of certain actions, these attributes are derived, and Allah is called with those names based on those actions that he is doing. Also, my teacher said, anything that happens from Allah, it has to be adl and wafa. It has to be justice and faithfulness. He never performs anything which is against the concept of adl and justice. He'll never do anything which is unjust or something which is against the concept of faithfulness or jafa. So he is always attributed with the awsafun kamaliyya of the fi'l, means the perfect attributes of an action. So what is the perfection of the action? He is attributed with the perfect attributes only, not the imperfect actions which have shortcomings, lack justice and fairness, lack wafa and faithfulness. None of those kinds of actions can be done by Allah, and never done by Allah, never attributed to Allah. Every action that he performs has awsafun kamaliyya, means that action is done in its best form, best way, full of justice, reflects the justice, reflects the faithfulness, adl and wafa. Now some ahkam fiqhiyya about the name. Shall I erase it? Time okay?